2010 Buick, and this has the 3-liter. That's not a 3.6, it is a 3-liter V6. I haven't seen as much on the 3 liters, but we've got a no start condition. These are notorious for jumping timing, these older generation 3.0s and 3.6s. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna pop out all these coils, I'm gonna get the intake off, I'm gonna do a compression test. I'm also gonna do a cylinder leak down test, because my assumption is that it jumped timing and hit some valves, because I don't think we have any compression. It sounds like we don't. All right, so first things first, taking off the intake. These are 13 millimeter, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those. You've got 2 10mm bolts here. Take those out for the coolant pipe there. And that's just a little crossover pipe. You've got a plug back here that's gonna go to your throttle body. You're gonna have this little breather hose here. Without breathing that, or breaking that, sorry. You're gonna twist it, pop it out. You can see the little notches on there. It's pretty flexible. If it feels like it's gonna break, don't do it. Take it out a different way. Disconnect all your connectors. I'm gonna have to get in here and try to gently massage that one out, like so. Once you get all that knocked out, you can see the intake. We've got a few connectors over here. I already popped them out. The harness and all that pops in right there. So once you get them out, I'm gonna need 2 hands for this. I'm gonna have to disconnect this coolant hose over here. Someone left a clamp on there and then put a, yeah, so confused. Someone's definitely been in here doing a lot. You can see it's got a new throttle body, but hey, no judgment. So I'm gonna get in here and I'm gonna get this coolant hose out of the way. Never mind, it was already broken. That coolant hose is out of the way. Just kidding. And I didn't break that. I didn't do it. I would have said I did, but okay. So you get that coolant hose out of the way. We've got a air intake breather hose, probably for the brake booster right there from the looks of it. All right, that's what it looks like without the intake in the way. Come over here, there's the intake. Don't forget the gasket. Let's look down in there. This is direct injected. So what these are known for is getting a lot of crap on the valves. See if I could shine a light down in there. Those valves get full of crap. Starts causing running issues. So that's one problem there. But you can see the injectors down there. You pop this out of the way. This is on the 3.0 and the 3.6. Direct injected engines. Those bolt down, those are your fuel rails. They don't go down in here like they typically would on most engines. All of these new engines, that's the way they're going. They go directly down into the cylinder. Look at all that gunk down there on the valves, and that causes serious issues. All right, next we're gonna self-explanatory. I'm just trying to do a step-by-step here. All right, got the coils out. First thing I want to point out is that this engine is leaking down into the plugs. Let's see what they look like over there. Bam. Yucky. Yucky. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and pull them out. And that's going to be a 5/8. And get an extension here. Yep. Same process. There we go. Now I'm going to do that on all of them. Okay. There the outcome. Say hello to Chan. He's helping today. Say hey, Chan.
Hey.
All right, back to it. Once you get these out, it's always good to keep you a little magnet. There you go. You want to try? We're gonna see what this look like. Yep, come over here. All right. It stinks like fuel, so there's that. Come here, buddy. Come around.
Wait, I have to pick this button.
Ooh, looks like we got a dig in the cylinder there. You can see what the inside of this is looking like. Not too shabby.
Hey, you said I can try.
All right, take the magnet, shove it down in that hole right there. Don't get dirty though. Go ahead, shove it down. Here, drop it down. Take it out. What?
I got one.
You got one. We went fishing and we
When
won.
was I?
Alrighty, that's what all the plugs look like. Not too great, to be honest with you. I don't have my bore scope out at the moment. These cylinders aren't looking phenomenal. So, we'll have to see what's up with that. Next, I'm gonna hook up my compression tester. I keep that right here. Good old mechanical tester never let me down. Anytime you do a compression test, you wanna make sure all the plugs are out. 4-cylinder, 6-cylinder, V8, doesn't matter. Take out all the plugs or you'll get an inaccurate reading. All you do, make sure you got the right adapter. In this case, I had to take one off. I got a bunch connected together for different vehicles. Make sure it's snug. All right, check it out. Got this locked in here. Anything 150 or up is good as far as I'm concerned. 150 to 180. In some cases, you'll see about 220. So I'm gonna go ahead and spin this thing over and we're gonna see what kind of compression we build up in that gauge. You could also tell without the plugs in, with that one cylinder hooked up, you can kind of get an ear for if that cylinder is gonna have compression or not. If it just sounds whiny, but it doesn't sound like it's under any strain, then you know. If it sounds like it's got like a then it's gonna build up some compression. This engine is spinning over rather easily. Okay. So we're gonna test all of them. In this case, we've got 0 PSI, which means we most likely have bent valves. All right, we've got it snugged up into the next cylinder here. Let's spin it over again. See if that thing jumps any. Now that one sounds like it's building up a little bit more compression. And that could be the case. Let's see here. We built up about 115 to 120. Okay.
Everything they want on it.
We're gonna relieve pressure, do the next cylinder. This one most likely has a little bit of compression because of that initial jump. You can hear it build something up in the beginning. Let's see here. This one, we're pushing about 60. Got it in the next bank there. We're gonna spin it over. You can see right there. We're building up a little bit of pressure. It looks like it might have jumped up somewhere between 60 and 100. Keep in mind with a bent valve, you are going to get a little bit of pressure buildup. That piston's moving pretty good in there, but it's only gonna build up so much. All right, we've got it in the next cylinder here. This one does not sound promising. That's because that cylinder only has about 35 PSI. All right, we're in cylinder number 6 now. Spinning it over again. And that one's got no PSI. So we've got either A, total engine replacement at this point, or B, double head job. I'm personally not going to do a double head job. It is honestly cheaper to just get a used engine with way lower mileage and put it in this thing. This thing is lost in my eyes as far as now. What I'm going to do next though, just to do a little extra confirmation, is I'm going to pop off a valve cover and see if I can get a good look at the timing, see if there's any slop in that chain, and also see if I see any rocker arm damage or if I can confirm valve damage from up top here. So as far as that goes, I'm just gonna get this harness out of the way. Those are a bunch of 10mm bolts. I'm gonna get this bracket out of the way here and then take off some 10mm bolts, and this cover will pop right off. Alrighty, use a screwdriver, pop that sucker out. We're just gonna set that over there for now. What I'm looking for is something I'm not gonna be able to see here because, awesome, there's not enough room for me to see if that chain's got any slack in it. I'm looking for valves or rockers that look severely messed up. So in this case, we've got 2 intake valves on the same bank there, and one is open more. Maybe that's just the design of the camp. Maybe it's supposed to be that way, but I don't think so. What I know is one valve is open way more than the other. It's really hard from the top side to accurately see valve damage. So what I'm gonna do is probably a leak down test at this point. Check it out. So this is my cylinder leak down test. It's only this big. Comes in this tiny little box from Snap-on. So what we're gonna do here is you take that, make sure it's the right thread pitch, which I believe we're good here. Gonna screw it down into the cylinder. Doing this in real time. If you get this kit, I'm sure you could find a good deal on them online between $200 and $400. I think the Snap-on kit is somewhere in the $600 range. Anyways, you screw that in like so. You hook that up. I'm gonna hook up an air line, and I could regulate how much pressure I put to it. I'm gonna go up to about 100 PSI. Check it out. I got the air line connected. We've got that connected down there. We're gonna start tightening this up. You're gonna see the pressure come up. Try to bring it up to about 100. Can hear it leaking pretty good. You look over here, it shows your leakage, how fast it's leaking out. That should be in the green. I'd even accept 40%, but we're at 90% leakage. All right, so let me show you one of the easiest ways to do this. For example, I've got it over that intake port right there. You can see no movement. No movement. We've got this pressurized right now with 85 to 90% leak down at 100 PSI. There's air coming out. I'm not blowing on it. My face is way back. You can see when I put it over that one, nothing. Spin it out. We're gonna go to the next cylinder. All right, I just bumped the engine again. As you can see, those valves are not being depressed. The lobes on the intake side are completely off of the valves, and those valves, the lobes are off to the side. They're not being touched at all. Got my cylinder leak down test in here, my tester. Let's plug that up. We're gonna start applying some pressure. Let's look at the gauge here. Mind you, all of the valves are closed, intake and exhaust. Get back up to about 100. We've got an 80% leak out. Let's get my little piece of plastic here. See, we got a little bit of airflow going on right there. So we are leaking air out of the intake, which indicates bent valves. Now, as far as the exhaust, I'd have to pull that manifold to confirm, but what I have confirmed is we've got bent valves, valves not sealing properly. We've got 100 PSI in there right now. We've got an 80% leak, and we've got air coming out of the intake. All right, another example of what I mean by bumps. So right now I think there's a little bit touching those valves right there. So you come over to the ignition and just give it a little bump. That's it. Just enough to get those valves completely closed. I'm 100% sure they're closed now. Now I can fill this thing up with some pressure, and we can confirm if we're having any leakage. There we are at 100 PSI. We're showing a 90% loss. Look at the air come out those intake valves right there. Mind you, there's the camshaft. Those lobes are not touching the rocker arms at all. There should be no leakage coming out of those valves at all. They should be completely closed. And this cylinder had 0 PSI. All right, so that's diagnosis top to bottom. We had a no start condition, so engines are just air pumps. First thing you're gonna check is that you've got no air blockages, which we didn't. Next thing, make sure all your lines, vacuum hoses, whatever is connected properly. Then after that, number 3, we're gonna check fuel. We know we have fuel, we had fuel pressure, everything's good there. Then you're gonna check spark. We had spark out of every cylinder, not a problem there. And I could not get this thing to run. In this case, I've determined we had no compression. We popped out all the spark plugs after popping the intake off. We have 0 compression in like 3 or 4 cylinders, and then we got about 110 here, and then like 50 to 60 in that center one over there. So we have a serious loss of compression. If you're gonna compression test, make sure you're doing it with all of the spark plugs removed, or you won't get an accurate reading. All right, and as far as the final diagnosis to confirm what I thought it was the whole time, valves are bent, most likely due to either a hydrolocking condition, or it could be the engine jump timing, which is interesting because the engine doesn't have any timing codes. But what I know is we've got a serious loss of compression and air leaking out through the intake ports, and most likely through the exhaust ports as well if I were to test that. But that's a lot of airflow right there. That's a serious loss of compression. So now you know, start from the top, prepare for the worst, pray for the best. That's all you can do.